Welcome everyone to our Apex ERP Essential Series. Today's topic is Infor Item Lifecycle Management. I'm Lynette Thibault, one of the Apex ERP practice managers, and our presenter today is Stormy Parson, a senior consultant here at Apex. Before I turn it over to Stormy, let me get a little housekeeping out of the way. Our goal today is to share our experience and provide guidance for using item lifecycle management and Infor financials and supply management. So please ask questions in the chat or the Q&A function, and we'll be covering a lot of ground, but we do plan to have some time at the end to answer questions. Finally, we'll be recording this webinar for access after the presentation. Just a bit about Apex. We are a division of ASGN Incorporated, serving many of the Fortune 500 in all major industries. Our solutions are highly scalable and deliverable nationally with over 180 unique IT skill sets and over 70 branch locations across the US, Europe, Mexico, and India. Specifically, our Infor practice has experience in more than just healthcare to service many Infor clients as well as those using Epic, Cerner, and Kronos. Overall, our consulting services team can fill just about any role. Without going into all 18 areas of our solution offerings, our Infor practice offers global solutions per industry through digital innovations like Infor, Epic, and Agile Workforce Mobilization through staffing to support any size implementation. Our modern enterprise solutions cover migrations to standing up a PMO and running it for you. Most of all, our Infor practice works with clients beyond the cloud, offering the right services at the right time. Before the project, our advisory services guide the client through the selection process and assess organizational readiness. Through BPA, or business process assessments, and process design, we offer total program governance and change management services to start clients off on the right foot for their implementation. During the project, we offer prescriptive guidance to reduce risk, duration, and cost. And after the project, our managed services helps clients to sustain their investment through on-demand service, staff augmentation, and incident support to be your partner before, during, and after the project. So enough about what we do at Apex. Your presenter today is Stormy Parson, as I mentioned earlier. So I will turn it over to her to tell you a bit about herself and then jump into using item lifecycle management.
Hello, my name is Stormy Parson. I'll be your presenter today. I've been consulting with Apex for 8 years and have another 7 years experience with Infor in a healthcare setting with purchasing, inventory, and master data management. So what to expect today? So our goal today is going to go over some of the features that item lifecycle management has to offer. We'll walk through a quick overview and go through the roles and workflow, set up dashboards, and finally take a look at notices and tasks. So what is Infor item lifecycle management and what can it do for you? Item lifecycle management is delivered functionality previously known as recall management. However, it was rebranded as item lifecycle management because it handles more than just the recalls. You can also use ILM as a platform to manage new item add requests and product conversions. There are 4 main roles that handle setup, process notices, and complete the various tasks that are assigned throughout the process. We'll start off by talking about the roles and a bit about the workflow. There are 4 main roles in the item lifecycle management module. the administrator, the coordinator, and the responder. So first, we're going to talk about the item lifecycle administrator, which does the setup and configuration. This is a one-time setup and, of course, maintenance if you add companies and locations. The coordinator manages the processes and maintains any day-to-day notifications. The coordinator can see tasks that require acceptance so they can track who is working task and who is not. They can also send notices to various groups for information only without assigning tasks to those. The responders are the people which the tasks are assigned. So these would be your DMMs, PAR specialists, item master specialists, anybody handling the products or the location. And finally, we have the item lifecycle management reporter. Those folks report any recall notices. So this might be somebody from your OR or cath lab or a buyer that might get recall notices from reps. So this is going to be an example of how a notice kind of flows through the system and who handles it. So the coordinator creates or accepts a notice. Infor also has the ability to connect to a direct feed from the National Recall Action Center that flows into the item lifecycle management queue that the coordinator can review. You can also add lot and serial numbers, so for better tracking. The coordinator can then create, accept, or reject any of these notices and manage notices by assigning tasks to responders. These tasks could include creating new items, adding new items to PARs and inventory locations, removing old items from PARs and inventories. These responders will then work the tasks they have been assigned and report back when those tasks have been completed. Once all the tasks have been completed, the coordinator will close the notice. This flow works for the new items and product conversions as well, which is a little bit of difference. So for the new items, they need to be initiated by a buyer, requester, or supplier. And that's if you allow suppliers that option. They would propose a new item. And you note that if you allow your requesters to request a new item, they must have the security class of RQ new item proposal attached to their role in order to create a new item proposal. The coordinator then views and approves or rejects the proposal. And in doing that, they would first determine if the item needs a trial or not. So if the item needs a trial, they would request a PO and have the appropriate staff review and approve or reject the item. Once the item is approved, they would use the notice function to assign tasks to create the new item. So the product conversion process is going to be similar to the new item proposal process. The responsible party would initiate the product conversion. This could be a buyer, contract manager, value analysis team, whoever would normally be responsible for that at your facility. They would need to notify the ILM coordinator if all trials have been completed or not, and let them know if they intend to use old product or return it. The coordinator would then start the process similar to a recall notice by assigning tasks. The responder would then complete their task, which might include creating new items, adding items to PARs and templates, and monitoring the depletion of old product or pull product from the shelves for return. Next, for those of you that like pictures, here's a little diagram of how a recall would move through the system. While this diagram only references the recall portion, it would be similar. There'd be a similar flow for product conversions or new items. A fun thing about using the item lifecycle management is items that are defined on a notice are used in the product transaction query to search for product activity or history. You can define a date range and types of transactions that are searched. These items are located by the product transaction query, which searches rec lines, PO lines, inventory, PAR locations, in-transit transfers, issues, templates, contract lines, and sourcing events. Next, we'll take a quick look at setting things up. So under setup, you're going to see 7 tabs. You'll see groups, users, organizations, tasks, task instructions, types, domains, and action reasons. So your groups correspond to the procurement group that you already have set up. Users are created to receive tasks and notifications that are related to notices. When setting up users, you must specify what role in the item lifecycle management you want them to have. They can either have be assigned a watcher and a responder, a coordinator, or a proposed item reviewer. Creating the organizations defines the hierarchy of the requesting and inventory locations. You would use that hierarchy to assign watchers and responders at the appropriate level. Task instructions allow you to create a list of predefined instructions on how to resolve a notice. Types are used to categorize the notice. This is where if you're doing a new item or product conversion, you'll need to create a notice type of new item proposal or product conversion. You'll also want to create task instructions appropriate for each type of notice. And some may overlap, and that's fine, but others might be specific to a type, such as a recall might have a task instruction of destroy, whereas a conversion might have a task instruction of deplete inventory. A domain is an area, specialty, or department, and it's possible to have notices without domains, but using domains allows you to drive the list of watchers that notification will go out to. And finally, for setup, we have action regions, which are required when a closed notice has been reopened or when a completed task has been reopened. So now we're going to take a look at dashboards for each role. First of all, we have the Lifecycle Administrator, and they're going to work from, this is their home page, and they audit notices. And this may include viewing, analyzing, and reporting on all notices and searching notices or products. They define, maintain components such as groups, users, and organizations, which we discussed a moment ago. They monitor the status of system queues and the process server. Works with security administrators to set up security for item lifecycle management. And they can do all of the tasks that the coordinator can do. Next, we have the item lifecycle coordinator, and this is a look at their dashboard. So they're able to create new notices, review notices from supplier portal or any third-party service that move them on for processing or closure if they're not applicable. Queries Infor transactions for items on notices. Process notices, new item proposals and product conversions. They can review active and historical notices. And as you can see on the bottom right here, this is what it looks like when you have an open task under the coordinator role. So then we have the item lifecycle responder. So this is their homepage. And what they do is they're going to complete any management related tasks that are assigned to them by the coordinator. And here you can see how an open task would show up under their dashboard. And finally, for the roles, we have the reporter. So the reporter role might be suited for somebody in admin and OR cath labs, anybody that might get those recall notices. Next, we're going to look at tasks, and what the notices look like. So when you receive a notice that contains items that live in your item master, they will show up on the item master record as a red note under the active indicator that says recall notices. So you can see that this will show up on both your item master record and your inventory location. Opening a recall notice, you'll see information regarding the recall, such as a full description, the type, if there is one, a date received, and the coordinator assigned to the notice. You also have several options at the top. You can create a product query. You can release the notice, close as a duplicate, or close as not applicable. You will also notice there are several tabs under the header. We'll go through a few of them and explain more about what some of them are in a bit. If you click on the products tab, you'll get a list of products associated with this recall along with the product information. Under the task tab is where you will add tasks and assign them to people who need to address those tasks. Clicking on the notifications tab will take you to any notifications that are associated with that notice. So when you receive a notice and it contains items that live in your item master, you'll be able to see that from the notice before you release it or reject it. You can see what inventory locations it lives in, what contracts the item is on, and what procurement templates the item is on. And then we have, this is what our tasks will look like. So when you get a task, it will show up with a red dot on the notification bell, like notifications for reports do. You would then go into My Task in your role, and you will see both a list of open and completed tasks that are available to you. If you open the task on the My Open Tasks, you can see that you have options to complete the task, ask a question, print the entire notice, or just the task. You can also attach comments to your task. A responder might want to do this if they oversee several departments. They could enter a comment when the task was complete for each department. So this completes our webinar today, and now we are going to open it up for some questions.